Let's move on to sports after talking politics for the last 20 minutes. The never-ending saga of Brett Favre. Will it ever end? Brett Favre still working out in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, still trying to work out with those high school kids in the hopes that the Green Bay Packers will take him back. We're hoping the Green Bay Packers, he's hoping the Green Bay Packers will take him back, but not some good news for Favre this week after the president of the organization says he backs the general manager and head coach Mike McCarthy. Now, for those of you who follow the National Football League, you know that a team owner, or in this case, the equivalent to that in the Green Bay Packers, the team president, gave the two biggest guys under him a vote of confidence. You know that a team owner or a team president giving somebody a vote of confidence usually means that they're going to be gone within 3 months. This time, though, I think the team president, and again, there's no owner. Well, there is an owner. The Green Bay Packers is owned by the city of Green Bay. As a result, the guy making all the decisions is the team president, as appointed by the stockholders or the shareholders of the team. Team president gave Mike McCarthy and the general manager, can't think of his name now, gave them both a vote of confidence, saying that he will stand by their decisions no matter what. You got to wonder, though, do the Packers really want to put this much stock in Aaron Rodgers this soon? Maybe so. Brett Favre was emotional. He made the decision. He said he was retired. That was that. No thank you. Goodbye. Go somewhere else. But it seems like the Packers are trying to railroad Brett Favre. But then again, Favre isn't helping his own case. Brett Favre going to Fox News, talking with Greta Van Susteren on her program Off the Record, talking about how he thinks Green Bay isn't being fair towards him. Favre, you put your foot in your mouth when you retired. That wasn't a smart thing to do. You should have waited till June or July. I know Green Bay wanted you to make a decision quickly, but March wasn't the right time to do it. You kept them on their toes every year for the last 3 or 4 years. You should have done it again this year. You said you retired too soon. You're messed up. But Green Bay is trying to keep Favre off the field because they know he can be a dangerous offensive weapon for other teams within the NFC North division. Minnesota wanted him. Favre is still very close to the Minnesota quarterback coach Minnesota offensive coordinator, who is still Brett Favre's close friend. Because Favre and said offensive coordinator had conversations over the past few months, Green Bay has filed a tampering charge with the NFL against the Minnesota Vikings. That's just wrong, Green Bay. Look, you don't want the guy to play. He didn't ask for reinstatement. He's not going to get reinstated anytime soon, or at least I don't think. Why bother filing a tampering charge? You're not helping yourself anymore, and it's only going to give the Vikings more motivation to beat you when they play you during the season. I wonder if Green Bay is going to do the same thing with the New York Giants because Eli Manning talked to him at the ESPY Awards this past week. The Green Bay Packers right now have their priorities all out of whack. The Packers need to worry about getting Aaron Rodgers ready and not let Brett Favre distract them. Otherwise, they're going to go from worst to first in the NFC North. Not exactly what you want to do, and you don't want to lose, arguably, take that back. I'm not going to say they're the weakest division. That honor belongs to the NFC West. You don't want to lose the second weakest division in the National Football Conference. You got Chicago there, Chicago's not going to do anything. They don't want to spend money right now. They got a terrible quarterback in Rex Grossman. Got Detroit. Well, Detroit hasn't done anything since Matt Millen took over in 2001. Need I say more? Matt Millen, not a great sports broadcaster, even worse general manager. You got Detroit, you got Chicago, and you got Minnesota, who's the only other competitive team in that division. Minnesota stands to go 10-6 this year, and if Tavares Jackson plays well, or if Green Bay manages to pick up Brett Favre some way, shape, or form, this team stands to win the NFC North. Green Bay might fall off the face of the earth. We jump sports now. We're going to move a little bit closer to home as well. Move to the National Basketball Association, and we're going to go on to the New Orleans Hornets, who made a great acquisition this week. James Posey, Mr. Clutch, for your world champion Boston Celtics, signed a 3-year, $40 million contract with the Hornets. this past week. Nice job. Nice to see a New Orleans team actually doing something right and trying to invest in the future. I know that term gets thrown around a lot, but the Hornets are doing that. Okay, so they didn't have much of a draft. Well, they had no draft this year. They had no draft picks. Thank you, trades galore during the middle of this season. But with the team they already have, with the foundation that is already there, especially with Chris Paul, bringing in a veteran player who can shoot and hit three-pointers in clutch moments can only help this team. Let's just hope James Posey does not get injured during the middle of the season. $40 million over 3 years, though, might be a bit much. Let's see if Posey can prove himself over the time and see if the Hornets can win. Well, let's say win the Western Conference first. That way they can get to the NBA Finals before we say see them win the NBA outright. There will be time for that. Moving on to the British Open, for those of you that care about golf, for those of you that are lovers of comeback kids, or even better yet, those of you that love choke jobs, Greg Norman is back and he is in first place of the British Open. Who'd have thunk it? Greg Norman, 53 years old, a recent newlywed, married Chris Everett, is playing the best he's played in a long time at the British Open. When was the last time you heard about Greg Norman on the final day of a major? The 1996 Masters when he choked and he lost? Yeah, it's been that long. It's been 15 years since he's won a major championship, and now he's on the cusp of winning only his third career major. How about that? Greg Norman, who's right now at par for the tournament, with a chance to win the British Open, would become the oldest man to win a major tournament. That record set in 1968 by a 48-year-old. Julius Boros, I believe the guy's name was. But Greg Norman, Mr. Choke, in first place at the British Open. That's just amazing. Kudos to you, Greg Norman, for being that high this far into the British Open. That's just amazing. That is just outright amazing. Now I'm going to turn that and go somewhere else with this. I've said before, and I've said this before many a times, and I'll say it again. Athletes getting married while they're still competitive doesn't exactly help them. But who knows? It worked for Tiger. It's working for Greg Norman now. Who knows? Love, maybe in golf, all you need is love. Worked for Tiger. Look at him. He came back, won the U.S. Open. He's still successful, save for that knee injury. And Greg Norman has been married maybe 3 weeks now to a former tennis champion in Chris Everett, and he's now back on top of his game, on the cusp of winning his third major, becoming the oldest man at 53 to win a major golf tournament. Speaking of all you need is love in sports, let's jump to A-Rod. No, we're going to stay away from A-Rod Gate. We're not exactly entertainment tonight here, and I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole. All-Star Game weekend. Woo-hoo. Anybody out there watch the All-Star Game? Can I get a show of hands? Anybody out there watch the All-Star Game? Okay, we have one person. For that one person that did stay awake to watch the All-Star Game, did you stay up till 12:30 in the morning to watch it? Didn't think so. All-Star Game. 15 innings. Official game time of, let's see, something to the effect of 4.5 to 5 hours? Yeah, that's a little bit long. But we'll get to that in a second. Josh Hamilton, 28 home runs. That gets a chime. 28 home runs in the first round of the Home Run Derby. There we go. That, my friends, is amazing. 28 home runs, and the guy's not on roids. There's still good guys. There are still good guys left in the sport of baseball. That's right. There's still good men left in baseball. Now let's